Let me take you back to the very beginning of everything. Before cities, before history, before time as we know it. There was nothing. No sky, no land, no people. Just emptiness. And then God spoke. With just his words, light appeared. The heavens formed, the oceans were set in place, trees grew, stars burned, birds flew, and animals roamed the earth. Everything was made with care and purpose. But God wasn't done yet. From the dust of the earth, God shaped a human being. His name was Adam. God breathed life into him, and Adam became the first living man. Then God planted a garden just for him, a beautiful place called Eden. It was perfect. Gentle rivers flowed through it. The air was fresh, the fruit was sweet, and animals lived in peace. God told Adam, "You're free to eat from any tree here, except for one, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat from that, you will surely die." That was the one rule. Time passed. Adam named the animals. He worked the garden, but something was missing. Adam was alone. So God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep, and from his side, God created a woman, Eve. She was his perfect partner, not just a helper, but a companion, someone to share life with. Together, Adam and Eve lived in the garden. No shame, no pain, no death. They walked with God in the cool of the day. It was paradise. And they were free, truly free, to choose. But then, temptation came. One day, while Eve was walking in the garden, she heard a voice. A serpent. Crafty, clever, more cunning than any of the other animals. It said, "Did God really say you can't eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve answered, "No, we can eat from any tree except the one in the middle. God said we shouldn't eat it or even touch it, or we'll die." But the serpent smiled and whispered, "You won't die. God just knows that if you eat from that tree, your eyes will be opened. You'll be like him. You'll know good and evil." It sounded tempting. Eve looked at the tree again. The fruit was beautiful. And the thought of being like God? That was powerful. She reached out, picked the fruit, and took a bite. Then she gave some to Adam, and he ate it too. And just like that, everything changed. Eyes were opened, just as the serpent said. But it wasn't what they expected. They suddenly realized they were naked. They felt something they'd never felt before, shame. So they sewed fig leaves together to cover themselves. Then they hid. That evening, God came walking through the garden. He called out, "Adam, where are you?" Of course, God knew where they were, but he wanted them to come forward. To be honest, Adam stepped out and said, "I heard you, but I was afraid because I was naked. So I hid." God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree I told you not to?" Adam replied, "It was the woman you gave me. She gave me the fruit." And Eve said, "It was the serpent. He tricked me." God looked at them with sorrow. They had chosen to disobey. They had chosen to trust a lie instead of trusting him. There were consequences, not because God was cruel, but because sin had entered the world. To the serpent, God said, "You are cursed. One day, a descendant of this woman will crush your head." To Eve, he said, "Now childbirth will be painful. Relationships will become difficult." To Adam, he said, "Now the ground will be hard. You'll struggle to grow food. And one day, you'll return to the dust from which you came." And then, with deep sadness, God did something no one saw coming. He made clothing for Adam and Eve, not from leaves, but from animal skin. This was the first time something had to die, to cover sin. Then God sent them out of the Garden of Eden, not out of hatred, but out of mercy, so they wouldn't eat from the tree of life and live forever in a broken state. An angel was placed at the entrance to the garden with a flaming sword to guard the way back, and that was the beginning. The beginning of sin, yes, but also the beginning of God's rescue plan. Even in their failure, God didn't abandon Adam and Eve. He gave them a promise that one day a Savior would come, someone who would defeat evil once and for all. This story reminds us of something very real. We all face choices, and sometimes we choose wrong. But God is still near. He still calls out to us, "Where are you?" Not because He wants to punish, but because He wants to bring us back to Himself. The Garden of Eden may be behind us, but God's love? That's never left. Even in our darkest moments, God's light still reaches out to us.